I mean, isn't there always more?
Except when you're talking about peanut butter. Sometimes there's no more.
Yeah, but then that's when you just get like real creative and you start scraping down to the middle of the jar.
Really great.
Or if you're that big of a fan of peanut butter, you just like go into your pantry and you have like a backlog of peanut butter.
No, exactly. Some people are doomsday preppers when it comes to grocery shopping. I am not,
I'm not either.
but my husband is.
That's amazing.
So, hey, everybody. We're here live talking about the contents of our pantry. Ta-da!
What's in your pantry? What's like when I ask you what's in your pantry, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Tuna.
Okay. Tuna's like a good doomsday product because it
It
lasts for
is.
a really long time.
And I'm going to tell you something. So, we're talking about on this live that we've used the tools to create money for our lives. Here's one of the ways that I know that I've made money. I don't buy the tuna in tins anymore. I buy the bougie tuna in jars, in glass jars.
Ooh.
And why tuna that's in a tin is $2 and tuna in a glass jar is $11, I'm not too sure, but it does taste a lot better.
Does the tuna in the jar have like juice and stuff in it to keep it fresh?
Oil.
Oil. Okay, so tuna and oil. Well, that's probably why it tastes better too, because the tuna.
And the label's all in Italian, so that's obviously better.
Oh well, yeah. Then it's not tuna. It's tuna.
It's tonno.
And that's how you know you got rich.
So we buy the bougie fancy tuna.
I'm trying to think like something that I buy now that I never would have bought when I was like poor. Um, oh, I buy a lot of. Oh, here's what you know. Those have you? Do you have those towelettes? Those like it's like the wet naps for that takes the place of toilet paper.
Yeah.
Those like I buy those now and I love them. And I not only do I buy them, I have like a back stock in my one of my hall closets, so I will never run out.
Is that really like, are they a lot more expensive?
Yes, they're like yes. Like I can't tell you because it's one of those things I probably don't even want to know. But yes, it's definitely a luxury, I would say.
Okay.
I
So I'm interested for all the children out there listening. In Access Consciousness, there's a lot of really wonderful tools that you can use to apply to your life to create change in any area. And money is one of them. And money is the one for me that I changed like probably the most dynamically so far. And it's still growing. Now, one of the tools that we offer people to use is carry around the amount of money that you think a rich person would have on them. Okay. What do you think a rich person would buy or have in their house that you don't currently? Talking about things in your pantry. What do you buy now that you maybe wouldn't have even considered a possibility once upon a time?
when I realized I love that question, and I have gratitude for this every time I buy groceries. Because there was a time where I would have to go to the grocery store and I had to count like I had, $12, right? I'm not even gonna say $20 because sometimes it wasn't $20. Like I had $12. And so I had to like really budget and count everything. And sometimes I had to put things back because it wasn't in the allotted amount of money that I had. It wasn't even an allotted amount, it was sometimes all of the money that I had. And now I often like I'll walk away from the grocery store and I'm like, wow, I don't even know how much I just spent. I just like paid for it. Right. Like, so and I had to really acknowledge that my financial reality had changed when that started happening. And it's not always like extravagant amounts. Sometimes it's just a few items, but I no longer like am pinching and counting and couponing. And don't get me wrong, I love a good discount and I will coupon occasionally, but like, it's not the like penny pinching counting like dimes the way that I used to.
Me too. I used to go with similar, like $12 or something, and I would hunt for the $1 items because it would be easier math, and I could just like I go, okay, I get 12 $1 things. Here's a $1 milk. Here's a $1 bread. Ooh, eggs are $4. Maybe not eggs, but no, I can get 6 eggs, not a dozen. I'll get 6,
Yep.
and I would be like really shrewd, thinking I need to get enough to last me a week on this $12.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I wasn't even getting the tuna in tins.
Honey. And okay, so what changed? Like, what was there like a moment that you?
I would say that there was a moment for me. There was a definitive moment where I really turned the corner and I said, okay, no matter what it takes and no matter what it looks like, I'm going to change this because I know this isn't me. Like, there's that old stock standard phrase of champagne taste on a beer budget, but sometimes we grow up that way because we know that there has got to be something greater available than what is being presented.
Totally.
And that was me to a T. I was raised in such a way where we had a certain budget, and bless my mother for how she raised us, because I was always giving away what we had. Even if we didn't have much, I was giving it to friends, and my mother would lose her mind at me and say, hey, we're not rich people. You cannot be giving away all the food. And I was like, no, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like, I remember I have distinct memories of like my mom coming home from like buying whatever the bulk grocery shopping place was, whatever that store was, and there were multiple, but like a Costco or whatever, and like sectioning out all the chicken. Like we would create an assembly line, right? And so there would like one chicken breast went in and 2 chicken legs and then 3 thighs and whatever, right? And that's like what fed the family. So she had an allotted amount of food that was created for to feed my family, and I have 6 siblings, so there were 8 of us. And I remember my mom often yelling at us, like, you can't eat all these snacks. Like, I just bought the snacks and they're gone. And at the time, I just thought she was like mad at us about eating the snacks. But now what I know is that that was like all the food that they could buy for like that pay period until they got paid again or whatever that is. It's so interesting to hear that, because like I didn't know that we didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up. Did you know that?
I kind of did. I remember having a friend whose family was quite wealthy. They had a clothing store or something in the mall downtown. And I remember her inviting me to go to see a movie. And I was like, do you know what? I can't. I don't have the money to go to a movie. And she said, oh, well, can't you just go to the ATM and get more? And I said, no. I really mean there's no money. Like there's no money in the bank. There's no money out of the bank. It's not like there is a finite number.
Yeah. And it is really close to zero.
Yeah. It's less than $7, in fact, which I think at the time was probably the price of a movie ticket.
Yeah.
So I realized early on that we didn't have much money. And I always knew that there was a different possibility and I could create something greater. And I have. And it's largely due in part to the Access Consciousness tools and applying them in such a way that my wealth grows daily in the most remarkable ways. And I have to remind myself of that even on quote unquote bad hair days where it doesn't seem like that's what's occurring.
Today's not that day because your hair looks great today. I think it's interesting too. I love this conversation about like how we grew up and kind of, remember when, because for me, looking at things like money using the access consciousness tools has made me aware of the places that I wasn't even aware I was functioning from points of view that limited my financial reality. So, like, the more I start to look at this and the more I play with tools, the more I start to be like, huh, I didn't even realize that I had this one thing that kept me like capping the amount of money I could make every year, or had me capping the amount I was willing to spend on, whatever travel or clothing or shoes or whatever that is. And that's what's been so fun about, well, creating with the tools of access consciousness in general, but things like the How to Become Money workbook it isn't just for poor people. It isn't just for rich people. It's not just for people that are, in the middle of whatever that looks like for them. It's literally for everybody, because it is an invitation to look at all of the places where you're still functioning from limited beliefs. And that's the thing, is anything that you're willing to look at, you can change.
Totally.
So it really is an invitation to look at things that you maybe haven't looked at before. There she is.
There she is. So you and I did this together as a series. We let people sign up and join us. I think it was ends up being $45 per session for 10 sessions, Australian. So that's like 30 US dollars or something.
Yeah.
And we go through this book over 10 sessions. The fabulous part about this book is, in the beginning, they ask you all of these questions, and it's a workbook where you get clear on what you actually see money as and what some of your fundamental points of view are about money that creates your reality with it. And then the book goes through and sort of dives into each of those sections that the questions ask. And I tell you what, every time I do this book, it changes things. I don't write my answers down because I do this book again and again. So I write the answers on a separate piece of paper so that I can keep doing it, because it constantly changes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the thing, is like the change is constant. So no matter where you're at in your financial journey, with all of your points of view, you can still create change. So it's for everybody.
It's for everybody, for poor people, for not poor people, for poor people who want to be rich people. So here's my question for you then, my dear. You've created a lot of change with your financial reality. And what would you like to change next, or where would you like to be next?
So, okay. Well, we've talked about this. I can't remember if it was on a live or where it was, but one of my asks is to outcreate my revenue. Like, I've had this interesting, like over the last few years, I've created like the same amount of revenue. And I know for a lot of people, like last year with the pandemic, like they've created less, or, this year they're creating way more or still less or whatever that is. But for me, over the last like 3 or 4 years, like my financial reality changed, and it has still hovered between this, like, I would say about $25,000. Like, it's hovering in this bracket, and I can't like quite get past to the next, whatever the next level of that is. And so I'm really looking forward to, I'm asking to change that. The other thing too that I've been looking at recently is I often find myself choosing between, like, I can either have this thing that costs me money, or I can have this thing that costs me money. I can't have both of them. So like I have this like point of view that I can only choose one. I can't have it all. So I'm interested to explore that and look at that and see what else is possible with that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And
what about you?
Well, I'll get to me in a second. Oh. The thing is, when you what you said earlier was, anything you're willing to look at, you can change. So the fact that you're looking with such clarity at where you are financially makes it really easy for you to jump to that next place, because now is the part where you get to see what are some of the reasons and justifications that you're using to create the situation as it is. What about me? I have probably for most of my life had this way of living that was a bit hand to mouth. You know, like I would create all the money, and either already have it allocated with different things that I was choosing and creating, or it would be gone as soon as it came. And I'm not making that wrong, because there's actually some capacity in the way I create. Well, there's not just some, there's a lot of capacity in the way I create money. But I'm looking at having more money, not just invested in art and objects, but also more just cash available to start choosing some bigger things. I would like to invest more in things like real estate. And in order to do that, to make it a little easier, some bigger chunks of money behind me would be helpful. And for those of you out there listening who have lived in a kind of hand to mouth way, and as you make more money, the hand just gets bigger and the mouth gets bigger, please don't make that wrong, because in that, you're always creating the money that's required to get where you're going. It's just never been valuable to you to have anything extra or anything beyond that. So please know that you're not wrong. Some people put so much emphasis on saving money that they're almost creating a disaster in the future with their insistence on preparing for a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah.
My point of view always has been, there's going to be more money.
Yeah. And you can always, it's just money. You can always create more. And there was also a time where if someone had said that to me, I would have like punched him in the face. Like, really? No, it's not just money. And no, you can't just fall out of the sky. Like, it would make me really angry. Yeah, all that. The neck starts going. And that's the value of looking at all of these things, whatever your thing is, right? If you are willing to not make yourself wrong and actually look at like what you're choosing there, it actually creates a space and an ease that, like, spoiler alert, generally invites more money to show up in your in your life. So it's like, that's the thing for me is it's not easy to always look at what's stopping you or where you're stopping yourself. But it's worth it to have the ease and the joy and the money that shows up when you're willing to have the ease, the joy, and the money.
Yep.
But yeah, I love what you said. You're not wrong. And that's what's really cool about this conversation with the How to Become Money Workbook is it's such a judgment-free zone. Like, it is a safe circle. And it's so cool to watch people step into that and contribute to each other and cheer each other on as we go through the How to Become Money Workbook. So,
oh my goodness, remember the last one? There was a lady from India who had like crazy credit card debt.
Yeah.
And she showed us the bank statement after like, I don't know, 5 or 6 calls, and she'd managed to clear it all.
Yeah.
And she said she wasn't even sure 100% how exactly she did it. It just became really easy. Everyone who took that series made money. And talk about vulnerability. There was ladies there, and because I think it was mostly ladies except for me, and talking about like the money they have to pay to put their kids through school and their credit card debt and discovering bills they didn't realize. It's so easy to be an ostrich and put your head in the sand and not look at your finances and what you're creating. But I guarantee looking at it and getting present with it and knowing what the landscape is makes it a whole lot easier to create the future you'd actually like to have.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And it's like, I mean, even when we said that anything you're willing to look at, you can change, but it's also the things that you're not willing to look at that actually control you, whether or not you're willing to admit it. And so that's like, it used to be where I would just be angry and be like, I don't care, I'm still going to hide from it. And now I'm like, all right, let's go. Because I know on the other side of that, like difficult conversation or uncomfortable, like balance sheet or right, whatever that is, that meeting with my accountant, I know that on the other side of that is like the ease that's actually available, not just with money, but with my life. So,
So for all the children out there listening, what are you avoiding with your finances that if you didn't would make your life so much easier?
Woof. Come find out. Let's play.
So I've put the registration link there in the chat, ladies and gents, boys and girls. It's real easy. If you go to my website, which is mrchristopherhughes.com/money-workbook, you are welcome to join us. We are going to spend the month of November creating more money in your life, more ease, more peace, more joy, more glory with all things financial. 10 sessions with the two of us on the How to Become Money workbook.
Come on, come on.
Yay!
I love it so mucho.
I adore you.
I love it. Same. Thank you.
We'll see you all later.
Let's do it. Hi, Bronny. Thank you.
Hi, Brian. Thank you. Bye now. Bye.
Bye.